victory for England in Kolkata on Kolkata Cup Day in the rugby. In the cricket here in India, it's victory for England over Scotland by 5 wickets. Banton unbeaten on 63, Jacks with the finishing touches on 16. There were wobbles, there were moments, but for England they'll feel mighty relieved that they've got over the line and put the West Indies defeat behind them. Scotland, well, they had real moments in this game, particularly the early wickets in England's run chase, but this deep England batting lineup eventually has just too much, and that below par total of 152 all out from Scotland proved indeed to be just too few runs, and England win the game, not just by 5 wickets, but also with 10 balls remaining. Stephen Finn, professional job done.
Professional job done with a couple of hairy moments, I think would be the caveat on the end of that one. I thought England set the tone really well with the ball right at the very top of the game after winning the toss. Then there was an outstanding partnership by Scotland that looked as though it might be dragging them back into the game, and then the way that Scotland started with the ball, those 2 quick wickets, and Bethel and Banton had to consolidate and soak up a lot of pressure in the face of some good bowling and some outstanding fielding. But then that lowish total that was set by Scotland meant that England didn't have to take too many risks in that rebuilding phase before they then accelerated towards their target towards the end. And I think a lot of kudos to Tom Banton, actually. He'd have felt under a little bit of pressure coming into this game. Those 2 single-figure scores in the first 2 games, calling, or with people in the media or on the fringes of the media, asking for other players to be selected and other members of the squad to come in. But he showed he's a true class player. And the way he played spin and dominated spin through the middle is a big reason why he's here playing in this World Cup, batting at number 4. So a good job, well done by England, but Scotland should hold their heads up high after that performance.
Stephen Finn alongside me, as is Scotland left arm spinner Kirsty Gordon. Kirsty, what have you made of what we've seen in Calcutta this evening?
Yeah, it's been an excellent game of cricket. I think Finney's summarised the game beautifully there, actually. I think my sort of lasting thoughts are, England, they want to go on and win this competition, don't they? That's what they've set out to do. Are we convinced by what we've seen in their opening 3 games? I think they still have a bit of work to do to go to the drawing board and assess a few parts of their game, but it's certainly starting to piece together, and that's what it's about really in tournament cricket, isn't it? It's about scraping through when you need to and then building momentum and peaking at the right time. And I think for England, Archer and how he bowled will be a massive tick for England. Banton coming into a bit of form, and Liam Dawson, I suppose, as well, how he sort of closed out with the ball as well, because spin wasn't easy to bowl on this surface. So I think England have a bit of work to do if they're going to go on and compete for the trophy in this tournament. However, they've got the job done today, and that's what's most important.
How nervous would they be ahead of today, Stephen?
I'm not sure this team gets nervous, but there would have been jitters at times throughout the day. Certainly, I think when Scotland were building that partnership through the middle of their first innings, and then in particular that first power play, or the only power play, the power play in those first few overs that Scotland bowled, heaped pressure on England, and it would have been very easy to just have a slog, have a swipe, try and hit your way out of it. But I think the way that England negotiated that showed at times the smarts that they've been missing this winter. We've asked them so many times in Test cricket and one-day cricket to be able to negotiate those tricky periods, see them through, and then capitalise with the clear and abundant skill that they do have when they get beyond that tricky period. And I thought that this was a really good example of that today. But certainly in those first 6 overs of the batting innings, there would have been some nerves in that dugout.
Yeah, it's how you negotiate these things through a tournament, and tournament sport does require ugly wins at times. This wasn't quite an ugly win from England, Kirsty, but there were blips along the way, and it required just a bit of patience towards the back end.
Absolutely it did, and I think that's exactly what we've been calling for. As Finney said, you want players that are going to dig in and make sure that they're there at the end, and that's what Banton's done. I think at times players haven't taken enough responsibility to see the job over the line, and Banton's done that brilliantly today. I thought he went up and down the gears excellently when he had that partnership with Bethel, and they were both going, and he took Mark Watt down. and then he sort of came back down the gears again as he'd earned the right to, because the run rate had dropped significantly. So it was really good from England, I think, through that sort of middle phase with the bat. I think he was really well supported by Sam Curran. I liked his promotion to keep the left-hand, right-hand combination, which always makes it tricky for bowlers and especially the spinners. So all in all, a pretty good day out for England, but I think they would be naive not to go away and sort of tweak a few things and think about a couple of bits that they're going to need to be sharpish on if they're to go on and get through the Super 8s.
Right, here's Tom Banton with Michael Atherton.
From 41 balls, you can accept your Player of the Match award. Many congratulations. You won't need reminding how important that result was. It was all about the result tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously a tough game against West Indies, full credit to them. But yeah, I think our full focus was on tonight and then obviously on to Italy in 2 days' time.
And for you, after a relatively quiet start to the tournament, you needed those runs tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It's T20 cricket, it's a high-risk game, and you've got to keep backing yourself. At times it goes against you, and it's hard. You've got to keep coming back, keep trying hard, keep practicing. But yeah, luckily today was my day.
And it's a change of venue, a slightly different surface, pitch in Mumbai that holds and turns far more than here. Did that play to your advantage tonight?
I think so. When I watch cricket on TV in India, it seems to be absolute carnage, and I thought it was going to be pretty similar in Mumbai, but there was a bit of spin and a bit of hold. But yeah, it's nice to get on a really good wicket here tonight.
And the over that seemed to really get you going was when Mark Watt came on. Did you have it in your mind that down the ground was the way to go, given how many wickets had fallen tonight to sweeps and catches square of the wicket?
I think so. It was pretty, I would say, a bit low on the low side. And yeah, obviously I'd like to sweep and reverse, but I think my plan was to go straight as possible. And then when they miss short, try and pull it away.
And generally in T20 cricket, you batted kind of in the first 3. You're at 4 here for England. I mean, how much of an adjustment is that for you?
Yeah, it's different. I think when your matchup comes on, you've got to really try and take it down. And yeah, keep backing yourself. You've got to give yourself a chance as well, I've kind of learned. And look, I think the situation kind of dictates how you're going to bat. I think today I could give myself a bit of a chance. Good wicket, fast scoring outfield. And yeah, only chasing 150. So I just thought, give myself a chance and then try and catch up down the line.
And a springboard this can be for you now going into the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, I hope so. Look, I just want to win games for England. If I'm contributing, then look, that's amazing. But if not, that's sometimes how it is.
Well done tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thoughts there. Tom Banton, who scored an unbeaten 63 off 41 as England have beaten Scotland here in Kolkata by 5 wickets. We'll get reaction from the 2 captains shortly, as well as hearing from Liam Dawson, the England left-arm spinner. Stephen Finn, Kirsty Gordon still alongside me. England know if they beat Italy, that guarantees qualification. Playing here again in Calcutta. I mean, today felt like the bigger threat, but to not expect anything to be certain in this tournament. But yeah, it felt like one of those where things could get a bit funky if everything fell in place for Scotland.
It certainly did. It certainly did. And those early wickets, that's why even more so that those early wickets that England took with the ball in hand after winning the toss would have just settled their nerves, because had that opening power play gone around the park a little bit and Scotland only been 1 down, then you leave yourself on a good pitch really chasing your tail a little bit. So yeah, but the way that England started the game, I think, really set it up for them. They negotiated some tricky periods throughout. I thought Scotland stuck gamely to their task, but it is really that first power play that stuffed them.
Yeah, I think the worry for Scotland was when we saw the wickets falling early, Kirsty, and whether they'd be able to recover. I mean, they did recover nicely, it has to be said, with the run scored by Jones, Berrington, Bruce, but 152 all out, albeit they nearly batted the 20 overs. It never felt like it was going to be enough.
No, exactly that. And I think when we were 42 for 3 after the power play, that partnership had to happen. The Bruce and Berrington one was so crucial because unlike England, who seem to sort of bat all the way down, huge depth, Scotland, they don't have that. They have players that, yes, can hit out at the end, but they don't have players that can really take a game away from the opposition down there. So Bruce and Berrington, excellent partnership and really got Scotland back into the game, but they just weren't able to capitalise on that. They lost regular wickets from there on in, And like you said, 152, it was never going to be enough.
Yeah. As we wait for the two captains, the most amazing leisure show is taking place in the outfield at Eden Gardens. It really is quite spectacular. But floodlights now twinkle back on. Crowd have been richly entertained by that. But I just want a little word, Finney, on the crowd and what we've seen today, because fantastic numbers coming in.
Yeah, for a neutral game here in Kolkata, I think 50,000 people, or just shy of 50,000 people, to come and witness this between Scotland and England was outstanding. And a lot of Scotland fans in every time there was a dot ball in the second half of the game. There were big cheers. So yeah, great for the game, great to see, and a good advocate for T20 cricket. Yeah,
indeed. England win by 5 wickets then. In terms of what it does for the table, well, it wasn't a super convincing victory, but it was a good victory for England, who got over the line with a little bit of time to spare. It means they go up to second. They've played 3 matches, now 1-2, lost 1. West Indies top of the pile on 4 points, having won both of their matches. Scotland are in third, having now lost 2 games and are on 2 points. They still have a net run rate that's superior to England's, it must be said, after England's big defeat against West Indies. But for them, it's now the position with their final group match against Nepal, where they've got to find a way of getting a really significant victory and hoping for some miracles elsewhere, Kirsty.
Yeah, the backs are really against it now, but I think, as we've said, they've had a great showing of themselves, and with such a limited time to prepare and be on this biggest stage, you can really take your hat off to how well they've performed in all 3 facets of the game across all 3 of their fixtures so far. For England, it is a sigh of relief, and they should obviously go on to beat Italy, and as we know, anything could happen, but for England it'll probably be how can they piece together all these different parts when we get into the Super 8 stage, because that's going to be really fascinating and high competition, and anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah, we've certainly seen that so far in this competition. There's been no matches where you've thought this is 2 sides that have no right to be facing each other. It's an FA Cup weekend this weekend, but it's not felt like a Premier League team playing against a non-league team at all in any game, really. With Scotland running England reasonably close in this match, certainly causing some headaches. Arguably the match that was most dominated was the one between Nepal and Italy, that Italy won, but we've learned to expect the unexpected in the tournament. Let's get some reaction from the 2 captains. Here's Michael Atherton.
Yes, Scotland captains Richie Berrington is here waiting patiently. Thanks for your time. 152, you left a few out there. It looked a good surface.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a really good surface to bat on out there. Probably the difference for me in that game was just that partnership through the middle. I thought we fought back really well after losing those early wickets. Myself and Brucey probably just needed one of us to go on a little bit longer into that innings so we could get that extra 20-30 runs.
You lost spin on a pitch that really didn't spin that much. Was that a disappointing aspect of the first half of the game?
Yeah, I think we still knew spin was going to be key through that middle phase today. Obviously they've got some world-class spinners, England. But yeah, obviously our execution was slightly off today, but we still know we've got the players who can play that phase of the game really well. Unfortunately, we just didn't quite click in that phase today.
There's a lot of catches that went kind of square and in the deep. I wondered whether, in retrospect, you might have thought you could have played down the ground a little more.
Yeah, look, that's something we'll probably reflect on. Just being real clear on our best options, especially as we move on now to Mumbai in different conditions. But as I say, I think having that partnership through the middle was really good. It just wasn't quite long enough.
Early wickets, did you sense a few nerves there from England, given the importance and the context of the game?
Yeah, look, I think although we were a few runs short with the bat, we still had that belief that if we went out there and executed our best skills, we could put them under pressure, and I think we showed that. Probably why this one actually hurts quite a lot. It probably just reinforces that message for us that if we keep executing our best skills, we can put anyone under pressure.
Mark Watt's normally a banker for you. His first over went for 22. How much pressure did that put on you, knowing kind of when do I bring him back type of decision?
Yeah, look, that can happen. Some days it's not yours, but he's still got that experience and that backing that I know he can come back in big moments. And I thought he came back well later on in the innings. So yeah, it's just one of these things. Sometimes it doesn't always go your way.
and a significant improvement from Brad Wheel tonight, who's been coming back from injury and playing his second game, looked right back to his best tonight.
Yeah, he did. I think he looked like he had really good rhythm today, and he's shown how effective he can be when he's got that rhythm. So that was really pleasing. I thought the whole bowling effort tonight was really good. I was proud of that fight that we've shown in that second innings there. Even in the field, I thought we backed that up really well. As I say, it's just a few more runs on the board would have been nice to help the bowlers out.
You're off to Mumbai now. You've had 3 matches here in Kolkata. Have you enjoyed yourself? I mean, it was a fantastic turnout tonight, 40,000 for this game. Yeah,
we've absolutely loved our time here. Obviously, it's been great for us to have 3 games here. Feels like our Indian home. We've had a lot of support, and the hospitality has been fantastic. So it was a great atmosphere to finish things off here. And yeah, we'll move on to Mumbai now, and I say move on from this one as quick as we can, and look forward to that last game against Nepal.
Good luck in Mumbai.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, Richie. Go well for the rest of the comp.
Yeah, you too.
Harry, congratulations first of all. It was all about the result this evening. You needed those points, and you needed to up that net run rate a bit.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I'm just glad that we got over the line tonight. Yeah.
152. It looked a very good surface. You must have been pretty confident at the halfway mark.
Yeah, absolutely. We were over the moon with that. They batted really well against our spinners again in their first couple of spells, and yeah, they were getting ahead of us at one point, but then we managed to drag it back really well.
Jofra Archer had not had the easiest first 2 games. I think he'd gone for 90 in those 2 games combined. And therefore a confidence-boosting return from him today.
Yeah, he was slamming the length beautifully today. He got his lines and lengths perfect, and bowling gas again, and yeah, with good skill. So it's nice to see him back on the park and doing really well.
In fact, the 2 players who really performed tonight had quiet games, quiet first 2 games. Tom Banton, the other one, of course.
Yeah, he was awesome, and that's why he's slid in really nicely at that number 4 role, and looked to take down the spinners like he did today, and it came off, and he deserves all of that, and he's played really nicely.
Were you concerned when the first 2 early wickets fell, or have you got confidence that middle order always had it in hand?
Yeah, I've always got confidence there. We knew that it was going to be a decent wicket. It wasn't really going to change, and then with this outfield as well, we knew that we didn't really need to take too many unnecessary risks and just hit the gaps, and then when you get the ball to hit for 6, try hit it for 6. But the Bants played it beautifully well there, and Sam's little cameo as well was awesome.
Italy to come then. You know the conditions now, and a chance to press home and find some form before the Super 8s, hopefully, from your perspective.
Yeah, we haven't quite had that perfect game yet. They've all been a little bit niggly so far, and yeah, hopefully we can have an easier game against Italy and play our best cricket that everybody knows and loves, and yeah, we can put some smiles on some faces back home and get through the stages.
You mentioned a couple of niggly games. Why haven't you quite found your best form? Because you came into the tournament on a run of excellent form in T20 cricket.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. We just haven't quite hit our strengths so far, and hopefully that comes. And we don't want to hit it too early, but obviously we want to get through the group stages, and then yeah, hopefully against Italy that can be the start of the rise.
Okay, well done tonight. Good luck against Italy.
Cheers.
Well, thoughts there of the 2 captains. Harry Brooks always very honest, Stephen, isn't he? So sometimes almost too honest, but you know, you do get a sense that what he says and what he's telling you in interviews, that you know, is coming from the heart and it's coming from a truthful place.
Absolutely. I think as the interviewer, you always have to have your next question lined up very, very quickly in your head, because it's always very brief, isn't it? His first answer, if he agrees with what you're saying, he just says, yeah, we were good, thanks, let's move on. So, yeah, clear communication from him, but he'll be pleased with the way that his team have eventually got over the line. He's probably playing it down that he had absolute confidence at 8 for 2 or whatever England were in the inside the first couple of overs, that they would definitely make it through. But the length of their batting lineup and the way that Banton in particular played, soaked up the pressure and then took the attack to the spinners, is exactly what he's in the team for. So it was a comfortable victory in the end, and one that he'll be very pleased about, because they really did need those points.
Kirsty, Richie Berrington, he sounded a little emotional, I felt there, as if this really was an opportunity that they didn't quite seize here, Scotland.
Yeah, well, I think there's probably a little bit of hurt still from that 2024 World Cup that we've been speaking about, where they were in the driving seat when the rain came, and today probably felt like another opportunity. There's a lot of belief in that Scotland team, and rightly so. So I think he knows himself that they left themselves short, and when he got out in particular was a real turning point of the game after a brilliant innings and from him in partnership with Tom Bruce. So yeah, he's an emotional guy, and you can sort of tell that in exactly how his body language was, that they just knew they fell short in that area, and it's cost them tonight because they bowled and fielded so excellently.
How close do you think these two sides are? I mean, people talk about England's firepower, and people would expect England to win comfortably most of the time that they play against Scotland. But the Scottish side have time and again risen in these occasions to really cause England problems when they don't play each other often. Okay, more broadly, I suppose, cause the bigger, if you like, nations problems.
Well, I think we're seeing that across the World Cup in general, aren't we? That some of these associate nations are causing a lot of problems, and I think it's because it means so much to them. Each game they play is so important, and I'm not saying it's not important to Phil Salt and Jacob Bethel. Of course it is, but for Scotland, this is their one opportunity to cause an upset, to be on the big stage. I do think there's probably a difference in the depth underneath. That's probably the biggest difference, is that for Scotland this is ultimately their best 11, their best 14 players here. If you were to replace George Munsey or Brandon McMullen, the gap would be quite significant, whereas you look at England's 11 and it's stacked with talent, but of course there are players that are not here on this World Cup that could easily slot into England's team and cause some serious damage. So that's probably where I see there being quite a big gulf in the sort of depth of the squads.
England speak a lot about the depth they have in their lineup, Stephen, and they bat deep, we know that. But we've also seen contributions in this tournament now from different players, which have been encouraging. And Tom Banton's innings was one that was, if not required statistically, others could have done the damage tonight. It was required, you felt, for the conversation around his place and Harry Brooks' position in the line.
Yeah, for himself. I mean, he's a guy who hasn't been back in the England team for that long, and would just be desperate to take his opportunity, and maybe snatched at that in the first two games. You talk about what it means to represent your country in a World Cup. It certainly adds that extra layer of pressure on top of it. But I thought he looked really calm today when he made the decision to get himself into his innings in those first 4 or 5 overs where he had to come in, soak up the pressure, 2 down early, but he gave himself a chance. And then as soon as he recognised the opportunity to try and put the boot on the other foot and try and put Scotland under pressure, he committed to that and he executed perfectly. So I'm really pleased for Tom Banton and the way he's come through it, and that will quieten down the noise, which as a player, even though you try not to focus on it, you're acutely aware of it. So that noise will stop after his player of the match performance today.
Yeah, you sense that he's done enough of a job in this game to make sure that noise does quieten down. If you're filling out the England report card, we've now had enough of a sample size, 3 matches. What's been good? What needs work on?
Well, I think actually that's a good question, because it's actually chopped and changed each game, hasn't it? For me, I think it's a tad concerning how easily the spinners have been took for 10 and over at times, and different things contribute to that clearly, but I think that's something that they'll want to tighten up, because as the tournament goes on, spin, it feels, is going to play a massive part of it. I think getting out of big overs, not allowing that last ball, if you've conceded 8 or 10 off your first 5, not allowing that last ball to go for a boundary, whether it's a 4 or a 6, to make it a monster over, I think creates big swings in games. And outside of that, I think England have been okay, but still with lots of, I think across the board, everything probably just needs to raise 5 or 10%.
Kirsty, would you say that's fair?
Yes, very fair. I would agree with that. I think they need somebody in that top 4 or 5 to keep going big if they're to win these tough matches that are to come, and to score sort of 180, 200 plus. They're really going to need one of those to go big. I think Sam Curran's been really good. I know he was a little bit expensive at times, but the way he closed out the game against Nepal, how he tried to carry the tail towards the back end against West Indies, and again today with the bat, he's played a really nice role alongside Banton.
Yeah, and again, it's that thing of different players standing up at different points.
Well, that's why when you asked me that question, my mind's flicking around trying to think about who needs to who needs to perform better. They probably want more from their opening partnership. We've got two of the most explosive players in world cricket, veterans of IPL cricket now as well. Both have won IPLs, so they know what it is to play cricket on these pitches, and they know what it is to win on these pitches. So if that opening partnership does manage to fire towards the back end of this competition, it makes England extra dangerous.
Let's hear some more reaction from the Scotland camp then. Michael Jones scored 33 of 20 balls, and he's been speaking to Test Match Special's Adam Mountford.
Well, Michael, not to be for Scotland today, but you took it deep, and it was a tough game for England.
Yeah, obviously it was a shame in the end after we had a decent enough first half with the bat that we couldn't get 20, 30, 40 more runs on there, which we probably looked likely to do, I would say, after the 10 over mark for our innings. If we'd done that, then maybe it would have been even closer than what it was in the end. We took them deep there, even with 150 on the board. So if we'd got that 170, 180, which we probably needed, it could have been a really, really tight game. So yeah.
And you and the captain, though, a good partnership. And as you say, at one stage, you looked like getting a really big total.
Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. I mean, obviously we lost a couple of wickets early, and then after that, myself and Richie went nicely up until sort of the back end of the power play. So yeah, I think at the halfway stage, I looked up at the board and we were 90 for 3, I think, after 10. So you'd like to think, we probably should have doubled that really if we'd batted, the way that we probably can. We just didn't do on the day. So yeah, if we'd done that, then who knows? But it wasn't to be today.
Was there a frustration at losing those wickets? Because you say that possibly made the difference in the match.
Oh, hugely. Yeah, it's obviously such a shame when you get into such, a really good position, not to sort of follow through and bat like we know we can. Leesky and Crossy and even Watty. They got so much power at the back end. So if we could have just took it a little bit deeper, who knows? It's a shame as well. Obviously, Barrow was tight on that LBW call, umpire's call. So little things like that, they go your way, and who knows? Could have been different, but on the day, not to be. But yeah, it's always a close game, so it's good.
Did you think you might have enough runs?
I think we were probably 20, 30 shy, to be honest. It was a good wicket. It's obviously fast outfield, and so we were always going to try and get into the scrap as much as we could, which I think we did. We did well. But ultimately, I think we were probably 20, 30 light. Yeah.
But then, early wickets, put the pressure on. When there were a couple down, there was a bit of excitement amongst the team at that point?
Massively, yeah, definitely. I think, like Joss and Salty, obviously, such quality players. So, used to seeing them come out and whack the ball to all corners. So, when we had them a couple of wickets down early and the ball was swinging, they put the lights on. The ball seemed to be doing a little bit. So. Even our attack's probably different to what these guys are used to facing. Facing 140 k's an hour, and now Brando and Brad offer something a bit different. A bit more, maybe not necessarily more skillful, but obviously slower pace, but get swing and able to use conditions well. So something different, I guess, for them to face. And when we had those early few wickets, it was like, we're properly in the game here. So who knows? But ultimately, I think we needed a few more runs on the board.
But then you had those 2 wickets very quickly, didn't you, in Bethel and the captain, Harry Brook. And again, there was that feeling of a few more nerves in the England batting lineup.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. I mean, there's such a quality side. It's the only thing, they've got so many more bats to come. Jackson comes in, who's opens to batting for Surrey. And then even after that, you've got Jamie O, Dawson, Archer, everyone who can come in and smack it. So it's like, this is great that we keep taking wickets, but, the firepower just keeps on coming. So it's like, we need to carry on. Even we got 2 quick ones here. We need another 2 quick ones. So it's like, yeah. But the momentum swung in our favour for a minute there, so which was exciting, and the crowd was really up. Such an iconic venue, and it was loud, and we were out there, so it was pretty cool, especially at that time of the game. So yeah, shame we didn't. It wasn't even closer than what it was, but it was good to take it deep anyway, even with only 150 on the board.
You mentioned the crowd. You've been lucky to play a couple of games here already, but you look around here, 50,000 people for a neutral game in India. I mean, just amazing, at one of the most famous grounds in the world.
Can't complain, can you, really? Especially when 2 weeks ago I was sitting on my couch thinking, like, it's a shame we weren't going to be there. What does my winter look like, running around the track at Old Trafford? And then 2 weeks later, here we are playing in front of 50,000 people against, taking it to the wire against England. It's pretty cool.
And you mentioned playing against England. I mean, is it a bit different because you do know a lot of these players when you play in county cricket? You come across these players a lot up against some of the teams you play in a tournament like this. Is that a different experience for you?
I find it really cool. Like I actually love the sort of pressure that comes with it. I think, you know, as an associate team, you know, it feels like all the pressure is on England to come and walk this game. Well, not necessarily walk it, but definitely to win. And so for me, it's like, especially knowing the guys, it's like, okay, well, let's see what you can do on the big stage, you know, against our guys. You know, it's exciting. And for me, like, to be able to take on the people that, I mean, I haven't played against some of the bowlers an awful lot because a lot of them are in the South group, being from Lancs and Durham before that. But I obviously know of them and played against a few of them before. And obviously I know Salty, Joss, Luke Wood from Lancs. So yeah, it's just a cool experience. It's nice to, like, especially if we had a slightly better half, you know, to come out, get those early wickets and just feel the pressure of an associate nation. I think putting it on England, like, it's pretty cool.
And you talk about the pressure being on England, but it's a little bit of pressure on Scotland because you've had this late chance to come in the World Cup. You know, you want to show what you can do. You want to show that the qualifying tournament was a blip.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. There is pressure on us because I think, you know, we have been in this situation before and performed. So I think people know that we're a decent team and not to be, you know, taken lightly, I think. So there is definitely pressure on us. But I think, you know, with the lack of preparation that we had and also, you know, the quality of the opposition and everything like that, and even like the limited opportunity probably that we get, I think there's more pressure on the other teams. That's not to say there isn't pressure on us. Obviously, we've still got to perform, but, you know, I think we try and view it as, you know, there's more pressure on them, and so for us, let's go out there and just show what we can do.
It'll need some results to go your way to be able to get to the Super 8, but you've got another big game actually against a team that's been one of the exciting teams of the tournament in Nepal. That's something to look forward to. Oh,
hugely, yeah. Especially, you know, we've played our 3 games here, and then we fly to Mumbai tomorrow. A lot of us wouldn't have played any cricket at I think it's the Wankhede. So it's just another experience in front of a Nepal crowd that I'm sure will be extremely loud. You know, they've sold out, I think, the second most tickets or something like that. So you can guarantee they'll be there in force. And it's just another experience, I guess, to have. And hopefully we can get a win.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thoughts there of Michael Jones chatting to BBC Sports' Adam Mountford. He scored 33 off 20 balls as Scotland made 152. All out. England chasing down their target with 10 balls remaining to make it 2 wins from 3, and ensuring if they beat Italy in their final group match, they'll be making it through to the Super 8 for Scotland. Well, they know that they need other results to go their way, as well as getting the job done against Nepal.